Hey Internet, keeping this short because we have what I expect to be a long podcast ahead of you. Fair warning. Go to patreon.com/evacstation to support our show for less than the cost of acquiring Fox's IPs and getting X-Men and Doctor Doom into your MCU. You can help make us a better podcast with better equipment and even more time to work on these extra long and special episodes. Again, that is patreon.com/evacstation. That's EVACSTATION. Let's bring this one home, whatever it takes.
Whatever it takes.
Our world's about to break, tormented under sand. Lost when we wake, no way to go back. Standing on my own, but now I'm not alone. Always we will fight as one, till the battle is won. With people on the run, we never come undone. Assemble, we are strong, forever fight as one. Assemble, we are strong, forever fight as one.
Well, we're in the end game now. There's a lot to talk about here, so let me just introduce my panel of guests this week, and we got a lot of them. I am your host, Captain Air America, and with me today I've got the Iron Metters. I've got Robbie Odinson,
Ooh, I like it.
and I have Special Agent Aaron Carter with us today, which is a double reference I didn't intend.
Ready to serve.
The intro song for this week is going to be the Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes theme song, because I just fucking love that song. We also have a new video that came out, new podcast that came out on the Patreon. It is our exclusive MCU re-ranking. If you are a Patreon subscriber, you can listen to that right now. And we also released a new video on the channel recently called the One Marvelous Scene Deadpool 3. It's a parody video of the One Marvelous Scene thing on YouTube. Please check it out. It's actually a lot of fun. I've got links down below for Patreon, YouTube, Peepa, iTunes, Google Play, Stitcher, and TuneIn. You can find us on all those platforms down there. You can also go to Podcast Addict if you just look us up on there. We also are on Facebook, Tumblr, and Twitter. You can follow us on all the social medias to ask us your questions, give us your Endgame reviews, and you can also reach out to us via email. Ryan, what is that email?
That email is americasass@gmail. Excuse me. I'm sorry. That email is evacstation@gmail.com.
Oh my god, that was awesome, Ryan. Or we're gonna have a whole section about America's ass because that's funny.
Please say we will.
I think we should. That'll be our new weekly segment, America's Ass.
America's ass. Who is it this week? That's good.
Indeed.
I can get down with this.
Now, I've got two guests with us this week that actually do their own stuff online, so if you guys want to plug your stuff real quick, and we can do it again near the end, where can they find you two guys, Robbie and Aaron, on the internet?
Aaron, why don't you go first?
Okay, well, I am the author of The Purple Door District, and you can find me at aaroncasey.org, or you could also get my book, a signed copy of it, actually, and the ebook. I also do author interviews on there every Friday and blog posts every Tuesday. I have a Patreon account at patreon.com/aaroncasey, where I post short stories about the characters from Purple Door District as well as early chapters. You can find me at Twitter at AaronCasey09, Instagram at AaronCaseyAuthor, Facebook at AaronCaseyAuthor, and basically everything else you can find on my website. So the cover reveal for book 2 is coming out on May 1st, so keep an eye out.
All right. Everybody on this podcast should be familiar. I've been on here multiple times. I am known as the dog, Robbie Nelson. I have my own podcast called Welcome to the Dog Pound. With dog. with one of my best friends, Mike Kitt. You can find us on Twitter at Welcome Dog Pound. It's spelled DAWGPND. So Welcome Dog PND. Also, we have a Facebook page. Welcome to the Dog Pound. We are on iTunes, Google Play. Just search Welcome to the Dog Pound. You'll find us. We both got big heads, so just look for that. We talk history. We talk sports. We talk pop culture stuff. We just like to have a good time, so check us out.
Absolutely, absolutely. Anyone who listens to this podcast, please check these two out. They are great people that we'd love to talk to. We haven't heard from Aaron since Infinity War, and Robbie, you were on back in the DC season. It's good to have you both back on again.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my
Absolutely.
gosh, has it been that long?
It's been like a year,
Wow.
right?
Yeah, it's been about that. Yeah. Dang. Hi, guys.
I was really hoping to have you on
You've been
more
missing
often, but I
out,
know you've been
Aaron.
busy, so I'm not
I know,
complaining.
I'm sorry. Life is crazy.
Well, you know what they say, life also finds a way.
Yes, whatever it takes.
These
God, we're gonna make
these
changes
guys
all
are
night.
these guys are probably tired of me at this point. I've been on multiple podcasts over the past year since Infinity War, so
Oh, man.
it's been a great
Well,
time though.
I
Absolutely.
get to enjoy it now, so.
Man, we wouldn't be inviting you as much if we were tired of you. We love having you on, man.
It's so much fun.
And
Also, you gotta follow on Twitter for me, so there you go.
Nice. And we also have Robbie coming back later in the year. We have him coming up for our X-Men podcasts here down the road.
Woo!
Absolutely. Yeah.
God, those are fun podcasts, too. We'll get to those later, though.
Yes.
So normally we do a What You Watching segment, but because we're going to have so much to talk about tonight, do you guys mind if we just skip ahead to get into this film, talking about the notes about it, and get into the initial thoughts on it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, we should.
Totally good with that.
Yeah.
All right, so
There's a lot tonight.
little different
So.
format tonight, but we're going to switch it up a little bit. Welcome to the end of the countdown to infinity. We are wrapping up Phase 3, at least by our books. We will be taking a break from the MCU for the foreseeable future and allow other films to kind of get some love. We've been doing MCU a lot on this channel, so we're going to keep this short. We just saw Avengers Endgame, released in 2019, as you all know, directed by the Super Russo brothers and written by Christopher Marcus and Stephen McFeely. The film's opening weekend puts it at 1,223,600,000. Hulk smashing record
Dang.
sky high. For a frame of reference,
So
for those
high.
of you not in the know, the previous record holder was Infinity War at a mere 640 million.
Oh my
That's
gosh!
For opening record weekend. That's amazing. And just below that
Wow.
is Fate of the Furious at 541 million. I'm pretty sure this will be the highest grossed MCU film before too long.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
The cast is literally everyone who's ever been in one of these fucking movies, so I'm not going to list them all here tonight. From Robert Downey Jr. to the most recent addition of Brie Larson. It's like Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Everyone is here. Everyone is here. Except Joker. We didn't get Joker in this episode.
Pity.
Get some DLC going. There's no awards, it just came out, so Ryan, if you want to give us some fun facts, I've only got a couple for you this week.
All right. Well, let's keep them short here. First and foremost, all of the footage used in the film's trailers, by which there were like a billion of them, were still only taken from the first 15 to 20 minutes of the film, according to producer Kevin Feige, which I personally am really, really appreciative of. Because
Oh,
they
yeah.
managed to do so many trailers, yet not give away like the majority of the movie, and I loved it. Next up, the title Endgame was not only heard from a comment from Doctor Strange in Infinity War, but it was also mentioned in Avengers Age of Ultron. In that movie, Tony Stark says that the alien invasion from the first Avengers movie is the Endgame. And last but not least, Endgame was Robert Downey Jr.'s last contractual obligation to play Tony Stark / Iron Man for Marvel Studios. Now, Downey has stated he plans on being involved with the MCU longer than his current contractual commitments are structured, so many are led to believe that he will sign a new deal after this one has concluded. How that's going to happen, we will discuss after.
We'll get into that.
We'll get into
that in a little bit. We'll get
Oh
into
yeah.
Yes.
So before we jump into our synopsis and get all the spoilers out of the way, we're going to be nice to everyone who has not seen it yet. And if you haven't seen it yet, what are you listening to this podcast for? We're going to do an initial thoughts, a quick 5-minute bit of us just going on spoiler-free, giving our recommendations, what we like, what we didn't like, without getting too deep into it. So, the floor is all you guys. No spoilers. Initial thoughts. Have at it.
Go to the movie.
My feels hurt.
Guys, I took a sick day to go see this movie. Like, you have no
My man.
excuse.
I
See,
saw
Ryan, some of us are saving
Work
our
on the
PTO
system,
for
I like
weddings,
it.
so we can't do that.
Fair.
I saw the first showing on Thursday, April 25th at my local movie theater. I bought the tickets a month beforehand because I wanted to see it. I wore an Avengers dress, darn it. You guys get your butts there.
A dress? That's awesome.
Yes, they had all the
That's-
Marvel logos on it of the different
I like that. That's cool.
Sweet.
That's cool stuff.
Okay. So I will say this to everyone who's listening who has not seen it. It does start off a bit slow, but it's building up the beats, the character beats, the emotions, the story. It's slowly building you up for the big action scene at the end.
Yes.
It's very minimal action compared to other MCU films, especially like Infinity War. But it builds up to it, and it really earns it, I think. And I think that is definitely something to kind of just tip the hat to a little bit. Because I think Civil War kind of did a similar thing where it started off a bit slow and built up to something bigger. And I think this one did it a little bit better, but we'll debate on that later if you guys want. Every character gets a fun moment here, and the ending is definitely worth sticking around for. No post-credits, by the way, unless you want to stick around for a little sound a bit. We'll talk about it later.
Yep.
But no actual post-credit scenes, so if you really are in a hurry to go to that bathroom, don't feel obligated to stay through the whole credits.
Yeah. I'm sorry, go ahead.
I will say that one of the things that I really loved about the movie is the fact that you get, and this is no spoilers, just in general, a lot of closure in a lot of different cases. Characters get closure, and it hits you right in the feels in so many different ways. And I love it. They find ways to tie in, like, all of the other films. So it really unifies it.
Even the shitty ones.
It's just great. Yes.
Which we'll talk about. Jump in, Aaron. That's very well said. I will just add to that it did a really great job of just tying back to each character's arc throughout the whole movies, as well as just giving each character from the original, like, OG class their own send-off in a way. And obviously we'll talk about that more, but each of them, I felt like they did a really good job of sending them out the proper way, in a sense.
I agree.
100% agree. Just to cap off the initial thoughts segment, I think this is one of the subtlest movies that Marvel has put out, which is fucking impossibly amazing. Like considering that they have storylines from 20 some odd movies, they managed to subtly weave every character's story together to bring it to a beautiful conclusion of a story, and then they cap it off with an hour-long fight scene. So I feel like this movie has something for everybody. It has drama, it has emotion, it has comedy, and it has kick-ass action. This will be one for the ages, guys. So again, if you haven't seen it, stop what you're doing right now and go see it.
Do it.
Unless it's
Absolutely.
like, the theater's about to close, in which case it's 3 hours, guys. You have to wait till morning. But,
Yeah.
what I was going to say, though, is a couple things. This is a testament to the Russo brothers. They started off as directors for a couple Community episodes, and they exploded to this.
Yeah.
That's a fucking career
Oh,
jump.
it's amazing.
It's
That's a
amazing.
fucking career jump right there. And then shout out to Kevin Feige for pulling the strings in this whole thing, getting us this far in this whole thing. He's been doing
This
this
is
kind of
11
stuff
years
since
worth.
the X-Men movies, and here he is doing this now. Like a mastermind, man. Like no other studio could do it like this without a guy like Kevin Feige helming the ship.
This
Yeah.
honestly felt like a huge comic book crossover saga where you're looking at like this huge battlefield across the pages, and you're seeing cameos
Oh,
from
yeah.
every single one of your favorites as they come together in this massive crazy thing that's gonna shake the foundations of the universe like forever. He managed to capture that feeling from a comic book and put it fucking verbatim onto the screen. So
It was
kudos,
beautiful.
man.
It was beautiful,
I didn't
man.
know you could do it, but you did it. Goddamn.
I can't tell you how many times people in the theater screamed when each character stepped onto the screen. Like,
Oh.
one of the reasons why you should go see this, while it's still early in theaters, is you're going to be in a crowd of people that are going to be as excited and have as many feelings as you do. The experience of the crowd just made the movie even greater. Because we were cheering together, we were crying together, we were laughing together, and there was clapping. Like, it's very rare when people will clap after a movie.
Indeed. We're about after the 15-minute mark, so everyone who has not seen the movie yet, this is your last chance to step out now. We're going to start the synopsis, the comically filled synopsis that I'm trying to keep short. It was really hard to
Go
do with
see
this
it.
fucking 3-hour movie, but we're going to do it. So quick little synopsis here. Again, if you have not seen it, step out now or forever hold your peace. You can't complain. We warned you like 20 times. Here we go. Hawkeye's family gets dusted, and he goes on a murder revenge quest against forces unknown to join us later before the main plot kicks off. Iron Man is floating in the Guardian ship with Nebula. They're picked up by Captain Marvel, who brings them home. Nebula leads the able Avengers to where Thanos is. He has destroyed the Infinity Stones. They kill him. Universe avenged. But everyone in Spider-Man are still dead. Let's just, skip 5 years. Let's just do that. Why not? Ant-Man is released from the Quantum Realm by total accident. In these 5 years, he's been in the Quantum Realm for all about 5 hours. He finds the Avengers and they attempt to make a time machine using the quantum tech. Stark refuses so he can stay home with his family. At first. But after he throws something together after doing some dishes. After Professor Hulk makes a few mistakes, Stark quantum wristwatches are delivered by the Playboy himself. Time to get the team together, including Fat Thor, Last Samurai Clint Barton, and so on. No Captain Marvel. Once again, she's busy. Convenient. The Avengers use time travel to visit moments within the franchise, including the Battle of New York, the Asgard during the events of Dark World, the opening sequence to Guardians of the Galaxy, and Dark Souls 3. Cap gets the Mind Stone by hailing Hydra. Hulk makes a deal for the Time Stone and gets a proper explanation on how time travel actually works. Tony and Ant-Man lose the Space Stone to Loki, who warps to his Disney Plus spinoff. So Tony and Cap travel further back to the swinging 70s to get the Space Stone from the S.H.I.E.L.D. military base, while Thor deals with crap, while Rocket gets the Reality Stone from Jane Foster herself. That's a complicated one right there. War Machine gets the Power Stone while Nebula is compromised and captured. The past Nebula goes back with War Machine as a little bit of subterfuge. And Clint and Natasha get the Soul Stone and hilariously almost killing each other before Natasha sacrifices herself. Sad times are had. Hulk is given the Iron Gauntlet with the stones. They unstap Thanos' damage from Infinity War, kind of almost killing him. And things are fine until the Thanos Nation attacks, having past Nebula bring them forward in time the time to now. Fighting happens. Things seem very dire until the film pulls a Lord of the Rings or Return of the King army battle moment. More fighting happens. Many references are had. The 1 in 14 million chance arrives just as Thanos gets hold of the Iron Gauntlet. He's about to snap again when Stark wrestles the stones from him. He drops the line, "I am Iron Man," and he snaps to decimate Thanos' forces, Grimace included. Tony dies, making the sacrifice play. Proved you're on, Cap. He did it. Funeral happens, many cameos. Steve returns to stones, but stays in the past to live his life. Sam gets his shield. Thor goes off with the remaining Guardians of the Galaxy, and Peter goes back to school 5 years behind his classes. How embarrassing. After multiple fake-out Lord of the Rings-style endings, the film ends with an audio stinger of Iron Man making his suit.
Well done.
Wow. Nice. Good recap.
I had to trim out a lot of fat there.
Yeah. There was a lot of
Okay.
this movie, man. That's tough.
Yep. Now, before we get any real deep discussion, I have to ask everybody, because they made a big deal out of this in the marketing. Did y'all make it through the entire film without having to go to the bathroom?
I did.
Yes.
Yes.
And I'll I will tell you specifically why. So I've been doing Farrell's, the 10-week challenge. So I've been working out after work, and I specifically drank less water, so I would be dehydrated, so I wouldn't have to pee. And it worked great, although my mouth was very dry the whole time.
Yep. I drank tea and very little water that day, dehydrated myself. So
Yep,
plus,
exactly.
it was really hot in the theater, so we were all sweating. So I didn't have to go to the bathroom, but I did trigger a migraine afterwards.
Oof, that sucks.
Oh dang, that's
Okay, so
Yeah.
we're not gonna recommend that you put yourself in bodily danger to enjoy this
No.
movie. But
Speak for yourself, Ryan. I was willing to go do whatever it takes.
God damn it.
whatever it takes.
Whatever it takes.
So I will admit that I did step out for a bathroom break,
Oh
but
no!
but so prior to the film, we found an article that said these are your quote unquote pee times. These are your pee run times. This is the only time
When'd
you
you
can really
go?
go out and not miss anything super huge. I made it all the way to the Jersey title card, and that was the last one it said you could go to before things kick off to a huge degree.
Yeah.
So that's when myself and 2 other people in the group went because we all read the same article.
My friend who went with me tried to hold it out, and she didn't make it, and she ended up going during the final battle scene right when Captain
No.
America gets Thor's hammer.
That's the worst part to go.
I know, we were
God damn it.
screaming, and I was like, why are you not here?
That's brutal.
Yeah.
Well, I thought that'd be a fun way to kick things off. So let's jump into this, guys. So before we get any real questions here, does anyone want to kick off with anything they want to personally bring up, or just jump right into the questions?
Oh god. I trust your question skills. Like I'll just save it because otherwise we'll just bounce from topic to topic and have no real.
Yeah. Let's do the questions. I agree with Ryan.
All right,
Let's just fire into them.
I'll steer this ramshackle ship. Why not? First one I got here is a very simple one. What cameo or reference stood out to you the most?
I'm going to take this one first just because. So I managed to keep the waterworks at bay up until the proof that Tony Stark has a heart came up on the screen in the reef.
Yeah.
And I
was
started bawling like a baby. I had completely forgotten about that, so that is definitely my favorite reference.
Mm-hmm. That's a good one.
Ooh.
For me, you guys probably aren't going to be into this as much as I am, but the scene specifically where the first Avengers movie where they're down in the lobby and they meet up with Robert Redford's character, Alexander
I thought you were
Pierce.
going to say that.
The guy that was
That
next
guy's
to him
Nope.
is Matthew Berry, who is a fantasy guru, which I'm a sports guy for my Welcome to the Dog Pound fans. And I was like, holy shit, that's Matthew Berry. So I kind of lost it at that
Nice.
point. Which sounds
Nice.
really stupid because there were so many great cameos in this movie, but
No, that's really cool though.
yeah.
I think if we're gonna limit it to favorite cameos, just favorite like small moments, I will say it's when Captain America walks onto that elevator, so reminiscent of the Winter Soldier, and I'm like,
Yep.
okay, we're
That's so
about to
damn
get
good.
it. We're about to get the sequel to this fight before the first fight happens, and I'm down for it. And then he leads into him. He says, "Hail Hydra."
That was
Fucking
perfect.
So sweet.
Yep. The theater
Oh.
frickin' lost
Like
it. They lost it.
That
I
got a belly
cut my
laugh
ass
out of
off.
me,
That was
man.
good.
Oh,
Okay,
the
so-
look on his face was great too.
So if I'm gonna go cameo, I'm gonna do one cameo, one reference. So cameo, they've done a few of these in previous films, but this obviously had 2 of them. So the Russo brothers, like I mentioned earlier, are known directors for the Community TV series, and they had a couple actors from the Community series show up in here, and I'm like, oh boy, you guys bring more of them in here. That's fucking great. We had we had him, we had Shane, and we had I can't remember the other girl's name. Yvette Brown, I think is what her name is, right?
Yep, she was
Yep.
in there. Mm-hmm.
Yep, they had both of them in there, and this is after they've had a few other cameos in the series. Ah, man, I love having them in here. This is so good.
Abed was in Winter
Yeah, it's
Soldier.
awesome.
I couldn't fucking believe it.
Yep. That was my favorite one so far.
Oh yeah.
As for favorite reference, though, I think I bounce around this a lot here. I have to go with Rescue Pepper Potts. I didn't expect it, but they had hints, and
Yeah,
it came
it
up,
was
and I'm
out of
like,
nowhere.
Rescue Pepper Potts is what I wanted. There we go.
Yep.
And she looked good in that armor. She looked real good.
Oh, she looked amazing in it.
Did you guys? I just saw this on the internet, and I didn't actually see it in the movie. But Howard the Duck was in here.
What?
For like a
What?
frame! For like a frame! You barely see him!
When?
Frame, yeah. When the Wasp comes out of one of the Doctor Strange's circle things,
Yeah.
and they pan to looking at her face. To the right is Howard the Duck. I saw the picture today.
Frickin' Howard
I'm
the
not
Duck.
kidding. Yeah, I was like, God damn it! How did I miss that?
Gotta love them just shoving him in whatever movie they can.
That's
Hopefully they'll get a spin-off
fantastic.
series on Disney Plus. That'd be great.
Of course, the primo has to be given to my man Stan Lee. Make
Oh yeah.
love,
Yes.
not war. Enough said. That's. It's,
I am
it's
very
off
salty.
into
One
the
of the
sunset.
That's why I
too,
missed
right?
it. That was the only thing I missed in the bathroom. That was the only thing I missed.
Oh no!
It was so
It
good.
was during that time, wasn't it? Oh man.
But I've heard enough
It
about it,
was,
where
yeah.
I feel like I was there, man. And plus they de-aged him, from what I hear.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Good
Riding
stuff, good
muscle
stuff.
car, man. He was killing it.
Yeah.
It was awesome. It looked awesome.
It was funny. It was well done, I thought.
Next question I got here. So we begin with with Hawkeye losing his family just out of nowhere. So question for you here is a little more personal. How mind-blowing would it be to turn around and lose your whole family in a snap and have no idea what caused it?
Yeah,
Because that is what happened.
Did any of you watch the show The Leftovers on HBO?
Mm-mm.
No.
no, but I
So-
remember seeing previews for it.
Yeah, so it was a very similar type of concept, but this show was based off of kind of like a play on the Rapture,
Mhm.
where certain people
like
got
Left Behind
pulled
kind
up,
of.
and yeah, it was like Left Behind, but not as religious. And there was never any explanation for it. So the whole show dealt with you dealing with the aftermath, so to speak. So. And I've thought about that a lot since I watched that show. And then they had this kind of happen with Captain America going to the group with one of the Russo brothers, right? Was playing
Yep.
the guy next to him, right?
Oh wow.
And
Okay.
it's just that would be so hard. Like Captain America's trying to push like moving on. But I mean, could you imagine literally turning around and that person's gone? Like
Everyone.
you don't
Yeah.
get to say goodbye. There's there's nothing that happened. They're just poof, gone. I don't know if I can move past it, honestly. Like
No, I mean, like if that actually happened, like I probably wouldn't know right away because I don't live around my family at all. We don't talk a ton.
oh yeah, sure.
But you know, that scene when Hawkeye's with his family and then they're just gone. Like
Oh.
I don't know how he survived that happening because I mean, if your family's just completely gone, you're alone. You don't have those people anymore in your life, and I just can't imagine that. And I mean, he went pretty psycho, but I
Yeah.
imagine there are other people that would probably off themselves if they're not. We don't condone that, but there'd be people that would off themselves if their family just suddenly disappeared because it's like, you know, my wife and my 3 kids are suddenly gone with no reason, rhyme or reason. But
Mhm.
the twisted thing is, stuff like that does happen in society. Granted, they don't go poof into dust, but you know, people get snagged or kidnapped or things like that. So it's a scary, scary thing.
Oh, for sure.
I just couldn't imagine it. Like, it's just... especially in this scenario where it's like you were literally about to sit down and eat dinner with them. Everything's like on the grill or everyone's just picking up their stuff and all of a sudden they're just gone. Like, I couldn't
Gone.
imagine that
Yeah.
level of, like, disappearance. I mean, I get it. It's supposed to be fictional and all that, but, like... Just, I imagine, like, if I'm just home with Amanda one day and she disappears, I would have no idea how I'd react to that. It'd be terrifying to me.
Yeah. I'm telling you guys, you should watch The Leftovers on HBO if you ever get the chance. I mean, it's a series that's already over, but they deal with this specific thing, and it's pretty intense to watch what happens after the incident, is what they call it.
Mhm.
But just them dealing with
Well,
it, because it gives you a look and like how you would deal with it. You know what I mean? So
right, I imagine you would have people left behind
yeah.
to be the show. You'd have a lot of survivor's guilt. Like, why did all these
that's what
people
it
die,
is,
not
too.
me?
Yep.
And I love that. I love that Clint's personal story. Instead of looking at it that way, instead looked towards all the horrible people that survived. And like, they died. Why didn't you?
Yeah,
And so he just goes
definitely.
nuts. I think
He just
it
goes
was
nuts, yeah.
A great way to take his character, a great way to introduce the Ronin persona of Hawkeye, and I think it was a really good way to set the tone. It's almost like they use this fresh dose of tragedy to kind of like, in
Mhm.
case you forgot how you felt at the end of Infinity War a year
I
or
didn't
so
forget-
ago.
I
Here
didn't
you
forget
go.
Marvel.
Just so you know.
Spider-Man's still dead.
I
Oh
know.
my
You're
god.
like,
He
it's
still
a
doesn't
year
feel
removed.
very good.
It's a year removed. I figure you guys know it, but it's still not fresh. So here's some fresh tragedy, so that we
Let me
can
just
get
twist
to
that
this.
knife a bit more.
It was brutal, man. Like that scene, like it got me because Hawkeye wasn't in this past movie, but they had the whole thing in Age of Ultron. Probably one of the better things I think was Hawkeye's family and learning he had this whole other life,
Mhm.
and then watching that live, him just getting stripped of that. Like that was brutal way to open a movie. Like
Oh gosh, yeah.
I was just like shit.
And Marvel was a
oh.
jerk because they kept reminding us of it, because at the end of
Yeah.
Ant-Man and the Wasp, you had everybody
Oh yeah, same thing.
but
Yep.
Scott get poofed. When my dad was watching it with me, because he hadn't seen it yet, and it took him a minute for it to click, and he was like, "Oh my god!" Yep, they poofed.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of the poof, speaking of the snap, my next question here. Was the devastation in the aftermath of the snap realistic? Why or why not? I bring this up because I saw a video recently about it, but I want to hear your guys' thoughts first.
Ooh, this is a really good question because I thought about this when I was watching it. I didn't get to see it till last night. And sitting there, specifically when Ant-Man comes back and coming into San Francisco, and it looks abandoned almost. Like, half the population's a lot, but I feel like that's still a lot of people. And I don't know. Like, I was really torn on it because I'm like, well, economy would kind of fail, and I don't know. I was wondering what you guys thought too, because that was my biggest question coming out of this. Really.
Well, I can jump into what I saw in that video real quick if you like.
Yeah, that'd be great.
So in the video I saw, it is on the Alternate History Hub in case anyone's interested.
Ooh.
And basically in it, the guy describes the idea that Kevin Feige has gone on record saying that it's not just half of the population, it is half of all life.
So,
Meaning it's not just the people, it's the animals.
and that's the
plants.
birds. When Ant-Man looks out and he's like, "There's birds again."
Yeah.
That's how he knew it worked. That makes sense
But the
now.
reason
Okay.
this is important, though, the
Yeah.
reason it's important, though, is because Thanos' whole plan was to wipe out half of everything, so that way there's more resources for what's left. But if you're wiping out half the animals and half the crops, half the plants, you're also wiping out half the resources in the process. The plan doesn't quite hold
Right.
to scrutiny. And not only that, too, with half the population, you have less people who can actually, police the people, farm for the people, make things work in this half populated
It's flawed
world.
logic.
On
Right.
top
Or flawed logic.
On top
Sorry.
of that, with half the plants gone, global warming is going to be impacted far worse than it would have been if we were all still there.
Yeah.
Because there's half the plants doing the work of cleaning the air for
Right.
you.
I mean, you saw
Plants
how
gonna
dark
heat up
it
real
was.
quick.
It was so
Yeah.
dark.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't care what his plan was. Earth should have been way more fucked than that.
Yeah, and the thing
Yeah,
is
I
that
guess I
when you
didn't think
wipe
about
out, that many of everything, but people in general, when you wipe out that many people, you don't know what you're left with. yes, 50% of humanity is wiped out, but are you left with a bunch of good people? Are you left with a bunch of bad people? Are there a lot of older people, younger people? Like, what are the demographics that are left behind to cultivate the earth?
And it makes me question as well. So those giant, like, tablets that Scott comes across in the movie that shows the people who are missing, how do those get made? Not only do I feel like it'd be impossible to tell who actually just disappeared without doing a complete census, but what government is left behind to actually be able to track all this stuff and then put the effort and money into making those when they should be put towards recovery efforts and finding ways to make more food for the people who are left?
True, but I mean, it has been 5 years. It's not like it's, a month since then. 5 years have passed, and quite often, a way for people to hold on to their humanity is to remember those who are no longer there. I mean, we have so many monuments left over to people who have passed from, like, 9/11, the Vietnam War, World War I, World War II. It's a memory of those who are gone. And I feel like people tend to put focus towards that before they end up trying to figure out how to live and keep going on. Because they don't want those memories of those people to disappear as well.
Yep.
That's fair. I keep forgetting there's a 5-year time skip, and it kind of throws me off every time we get through it.
And it reminds me of, like I was talking about with this Leftovers, they had something similar. I mean, because most of these people had loved ones that were there when the other people disappeared, so to speak. So, like with Scott, the reason his name's on there, because I'm sure Cassie said, I haven't seen my dad in whatever, and then they put it on the thing, So.
Mm-hmm. Ryan, do you want to chime in, or should we jump on to the next question?
No, I think you guys covered all the bases. Like, honestly, it was real sad. But yeah, I think it set the tone for just how bleak the world had become in the wake of Thanos's cleansing. So yeah.
Well, speaking of Thanos, would you have killed Farmer Thanos?
100%. Absolutely. They're called the Avengers for a reason, guys. That was gonna happen.
That is true. Can we talk about the fruit he was picking? The spiky fruit?
Yeah, what about it?
I don't know. It looked kind of funny on screen.
It was a little goofy.
No, I mean I get why Thor cut his head off, because I mean Thor felt like he failed this whole time. I mean, that's and we'll talk about that obviously more.
Thor, man.
Yeah, we're gonna talk about Thor.
Oh yeah, no, that's in a few questions.
But I mean, each of these people felt like they failed, like they should have stopped him, and Thor was the only one that acted on it. But I'm sure any of them would have done the same thing, honestly. Like Captain America, any of those guys. So they're like, this guy ruined everything, like. And he's helpless now, and we can finally just end him.
I think what it amounted to is that Thor was the first person to actually give up hope, because they snatched him, they cut his hand off so that the gauntlet was out of his reach. They had him bound. Fucking Captain Marvel was right there to hold him down. Like, everybody was in position. And as soon as he revealed that he had destroyed the Infinity Stones, they were all kind of stuck between shock and trying to, like, figure out a way around it. And I think Thor was the first one to come to, well, that's it, and then just killed him.
Yep.
Yeah.
And it makes sense. It makes sense for the character direction that he took in the movie. The fact that he was the first to lose hope. That I think that makes more sense for his arc. And why he just hauled off and killed him instantly.
Agreed. I mean, if he had managed to cut off his head in Infinity Wars, none of this would have happened. So he has that deep, deep, deep guilt of failing.
Should have gone for the head.
Yeah. He even says it. Yeah.
I was thinking that too. I had a better idea, and you see his arm on the ground.
I'm gonna say, if it's like, the question is like, would I have personally killed Farmer Thanos? I mean, for one thing, if he had wiped out all these people in my family, yeah. But even more on top of that, he would have poofed half of my flock. Yeah, the fucker's gonna die.
Yeah. He
Oh,
gone.
yeah,
He
100%.
Don't
gone.
you don't mess with my bird.
He gone, man. He gone.
He gone.
Let's jump ahead 5 years here real quick. So, Paul Rudd, do you think he's the movie's secret MVP?
1000%. I'm on board.
They had him in
Yeah.
this movie like a precision scalpel, and he delivered some of the most interesting, best lines in the film. He did get some good work, man.
100%, man. Like, I'm not even joking. Like, he is the secret MVP of this whole thing. Because if that stupid rat doesn't touch the whatever that is in the van, we don't even have a movie. Like, Paul Rudd sets everything in motion. And he's the one that figures out time travel, even though Tony does. Like, Paul Rudd's like, this is a great idea, but I don't know how to do it. So, I think so.
Kind
I
of
think
reminds me of
so,
those
too.
shows where...
I-
Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna agree. I think like Scott Lang's like major strength isn't that he's like ridiculously smart, even though he is really intelligent, but the fact that he thinks outside the box. And
all the time.
He sees
Yeah.
a bunch of shit that most people don't. He sees angles that other people don't. And I think you're right. He was the hidden weapon, essentially. Not only does he deliver some of the great comedic lines throughout the entirety of the film, but he also brings the plot that will actually save everybody, despite the fact that they fucking lost so thoroughly. He is actually the one that sets everybody in motion. So I 100%
Yep.
agree with you, Robbie.
I mean, he's basically the to get a little Pandora box-esque, he's basically the hope that everybody lost and just shoved away. Because there's no way to for them, there's no way to fix this. There's nothing that they can do. They've basically all lost hope slowly over time. He brings that all back. He's the shining beacon of hope of, I'm not ready to give up, even though all you guys have. And that's what, especially like Tony needed to move forward.
Well, and thematically that works too, because he technically was shoved away for 5 years, and he did come back without any idea what happened, so he still was kind of optimistic and hopeful, like, oh hey, things are still fine, we can fix it. So yeah, no.
Yep.
That's
Perfect.
actually
Perfectly a good
perfect
example right there. I love it.
analogy, Aaron.
Yeah.
That's 100% accurate. Yep.
Team Aaron, bringing it home.
That's right.
Yeah.
Next question here, speaking of time travel. What are your thoughts on the time travel rules for this film? And does it hold up? Why don't they start by getting more Pym particles in the past?
Oh, man.
That's a good question.
So I think like because we're gonna be jumping around the kind of timeline of the movie with this question. I think
Yes.
to answer the last question there in typical time travel fashion, the reason why they didn't go get more Pym particles, I think, is because everything was dependent on being able to put it back where they found it. So granted, like they had to go and essentially steal some Pym particles in order to actually get the Tesseract from the 70s, but I don't think they could have done that too much. I might be stretching, but the idea that they literally needed to put everything back where they found it is what makes the most sense to me.
I think...
Oh, man.
Oh, go ahead.
No, you go ahead, Aaron. I have some thoughts on this, but you go
I was
first.
going to say, in regards to the second question, I think, too, is their sole focus was on just finding the stones. I don't think they were focusing on, hey, we should get more Pym particles or anything like that. They were just like, when can we get the stones? How can we separate it up so that we hit the right amount of places at the same time? Though I don't know if we have a question about this later or not, but this is going into the time travel type thing, is how the heck did they not figure out that either Clint or Natasha was going to have to bite it? Like, seriously?
Thank you.
We'll touch on that in a bit. We'll touch on it in a little bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a weird, that was an interesting team up there. No, I think
salty.
I think you guys aren't wrong about the pin particle thing and how they need to be things need to be returned back to where they were. I'm just thinking so you have all these smart scientist guys there, and I'm the kind of person who thinks resource management. We only have so many of these pin particles that we need. How do we get more? And my first thinking is, we just get more right now. We can solve that problem later and make more once everyone's back. But that's just me thinking, hoard the resources, get as many as you can to do the thing. So
That's
Right.
fair. That's fair. I honestly think it was just in order to pull off a story of this magnitude, I think they had to not necessarily cut a few corners per se, but every single twist and turn of the plot couldn't be perfectly mapped out. So I hear a lot of people screaming about plot holes and contingencies and all this shit, and I'm like, guys.
There's
What you're
time
bringing
travel.
up is really, really small, and what they accomplished is really, really big. I think
oh no,
the
and I'm not
small
trying to
things
undermine
can-
anything.
yeah.
I'm not trying to undermine anything. It's just something that I think about, and when you get to time
It's
travel
fair.
rules, you have to look at it a little bit, because so many movies do different time travel rules. They're all inconsistent to one way or another, and it's just kind of interesting to poke at them and say, okay, does this set of rules hold up to scrutiny? Days of Future Past? Not really. This, we'll see.
You guys will hear
the
about
thing
that
is-
one in the future.
Wait, we already talked about that. Well,
We will.
They don't know that. We'll talk about that in the future. I'm sorry.
They didn't exactly. Nice. They didn't
Sorry.
exactly follow their own rules with this, though. I mean,
Yes,
with time
thank you.
travel. So it's I like the explanation that the ancient one, elder one, whatever.
Mhm. The
she
ancient
was.
one, you got it.
Ancient one.
Yeah.
I like the explanation that she gave. I thought that was very interesting. But the thing is that how they explained what time travel did and what it could do did not add up to what happened in the film, at least in regards to Captain America going back in time.
I have thoughts
Bingo.
on
So-
that one. I have thoughts.
I was gonna say you
That's
bring it
where
up.
I was gonna go.
We'll hit
Yeah.
that real quick here, because I actually have listened to a couple podcasts since this came out, and I have heard some explanations. But Ryan, if you want to take the floor first, you seem eager to chomp at the bit. Go right for it.
Yeah, well, the explanation that makes the most sense in my head is that quantum travel not only allows time travel, but also timeline travel, being able to traverse the different timelines. It makes sense if they're gonna do that, because we've literally left the door wide open for Loki to just pop around, or anybody else to
Yes.
come from all
Yes,
of these
yes, yes.
alternate timelines, which, despite their best intentions, they've absolutely spawned some alternate realities from this little time heist. So,
Yes.
in order to leave the door open for that kind of stuff to happen, I think quantum travel will also allow for alternate realities, folks to come through and fuck things up in Phase 4. So what I'm thinking is that Captain America, with his quantum suit, went back, replaced everything, and then lived his life with Peggy in an alternate universe. And then after she passed and they had a gorgeous, gorgeous life together, he put the suit back on and went back to essentially where he started, so that he could
See,
hand off
that-
the
that-
shield.
That's how I've been told. That's how I've been explained it in my podcast I've
Okay.
listened to. So, yep, you hit all the notes. on the
So,
head.
so with that, Ryan, and I've been wondering, that's my biggest question from this whole movie, is that specific scene. So, okay, so with the way they explained how time travel works in this specific movie, he would have been in the same timeline as the timeline, right? Even though
No.
he put it back, he just stayed. And there was two Captain Americas, one frozen, and him.
Yes, but
Am I wrong?
Well, yes,
Okay.
there would have been two Captain Americas, but he would have been on a different timeline, because remember, in Captain America 2, Peggy does say she met a guy after
Yes,
Cap was frozen,
Yep.
and they had kids and everything.
Yep.
So now with him back and
Yeah.
staying there, they form a new timeline where she
No.
meets this man and they do their own thing together.
See, I think it was him the whole time.
That is
And
actually
she
not
just
possible
has-
because the other rule was mentioned from Hulk, and I think it is still consistent. Time is experienced linearly. any changes made to the timeline does not impact the future. It just creates an alternate timeline, meaning that the line we've been dealing with so far can't be the same one as the one that Cap went back to.
Right, but in there, it is possible that two copies of the same person can exist with this time travel. So I think even if I think the alternate reality where Peggy and Steve got to live their life can still be remarkably close to this one because it still fits what she was saying. It's definitely going to be different, and they may bring up Cap's son by Peggy from an alternate reality. I don't know. Maybe we might see that one day. I think,
And I want to add one thing. So the other reason that this solidifies an alternate time can be solidified as an alternate timeline is because of Thanos. In the film, and we'll probably discuss that here in a bit too, Thanos comes from his timeline and travels forward into our timeline. That timeline he came from no longer has a Thanos, and the Thanos we already had is dead. So the experience we've already had with Thanos still happens, but the other timeline he came from, that never happens now.
Right.
So that means Infinity War never happened.
In that timeline. In that timeline.
Let me break it down in a way that makes more sense to me. Robbie, have you seen Dragon Ball Z?
Yes.
The timeline looks exactly like Dragon Ball Z. It literally is the exact same.
Okay.
Because Trunks goes back in time to fix the future, but he goes back to his future. It's still the same. He can only visit other futures to get different results.
See, I've always been a believer in Back to the Future timeline stuff, and they make fun of it, obviously, in this movie.
I like that rule set a lot better. I like that rule set a lot better.
And one day I want to have a timeline podcast where you guys come onto my show and we just talk about sci-fi timelines and time travel, Terminator, all that shit. Because
don't get me started on Terminator.
Terminator is broken as fuck.
I feel like we can talk about 2 hours of this shit. So let's leave it at this. You explaining it as Dragon Ball Z time, I get. I'll just leave it alone.
Okay. But then when I thought about it more, I'm like, oh, that actually makes a hell of a lot more sense.
Yes,
I think they specifically chose this version of time travel to allow for the possibilities of alternate realities to start branching out.
Yes.
Because that way the future phases can have much crazier shit.
There's going to be a new What If animated series on Disney+. Boom! Got it!
Oh, shit. See, they already knew. They already knew what was coming.
Yeah,
They're like, we're gonna strategically do this so that we can open up like 80,000 more properties.
I feel like this movie's entire purpose was to pimp out stuff for Disney+. But we'll get to that. Next question. I don't want to fall too far behind. Does
100%.
Lebowski Thor work for you, or does this undermine his character?
Dude, I fucking loved it.
All right, Ryan, you have grievances. Let's hear these. Bring out the Festivus poll.
I see. Okay. So I won't take too long on this because it's a moot point. I grew up like Thor is like one of my favorite comic book heroes, and the reason why is because in comics he is the only god who is like born with this amazing power and constantly strives to be worthy of it. And in the striving, he proves himself the most worthy god in the cosmos. It's why he's such an amazing hero and why he's such an amazing character. He has flaws, but he's constantly trying to overcome his flaws. He's trying to learn from them, and he becomes one of the wisest kings and rulers ever. And this one he gave up. He just kind of gave up. And I understand his character arc, and I actually like how they specifically address that thought in the movie where he's having the conversation with his mom, and she says, everybody fails at what they're supposed to be. We only succeed when we start being who we are instead of who we're supposed to be. And so it was almost like the directors were specifically talking to Thor fans, like, look, He's not comic book Thor. He's movie Thor. He's different, and he's going to be what he's going to be. And you just have to hold that. And he's a fun character. He's fun, and he like, I enjoy every time I see him on screen. He's bomb as hell and really powerful and really, really cool, and he's gonna pal around with the Guardians of the Galaxy, and that's gonna be fun. But you just, yes. I kind of had to say farewell to like the Odin son that I had, like the image in my mind. I had to come to grips with the fact that I'm never gonna see that guy in the MCU, and I have to be happy with what we have, which is still really good. It's just a little less than worthy, in my opinion.
I was a bit torn with it because, there were it created a lot of like humor, cheap laughs, and things like that. But the thing is as I thought about it, it actually frustrated me because they presented Thor as basically the character who had the worst PTSD after what happened because he's carrying this guilt of failure. Granted, all the other characters are carrying, feelings of failure and things like that, and it was a horrific event with watching all these people die. But for Thor, he broke down. He became less of the leader that he was used to. He started binge drinking, likely to forget all the emotions and everything that had happened. I mean, they couldn't even say Thanos' name where the Asgardians were. But, so he's struggling with a ton of emotional crap, a ton of PTSD, and they ended up playing it off as a joke with him in a lot of ways. I mean, when they showed him with his beer gut and everything, like, the theater started laughing, and my friend next to me is like, "Ugh, gross." And I'm sitting there going, this dude has been through a lot. Like, he let himself go because okay, as someone who has depression and anxiety, I understand eating your emotions. He was drinking his emotions. So, yes. I thought it made me frustrated for those who have PTSD and mental illnesses that will cause this type of thing to happen, and I don't think it should have been treated so much as a joke. I did like the fact that we did get serious moments, like with him and his mother, and also when he talked about failure and how he felt like it was failure and everything like that. And it was kind of nice to see a larger character still managed to kick frickin' ass during the battle scene, but I don't think it was a good reflection on people who struggle with PTSD.
You know what? You actually bring up a really good point, and I just thought of a new spin on it in regards to mental illness. It seems particularly poignant to me now that, like, in thinking about it in this light, that Thor's recovery, like, to a semblance of normal didn't come from him constantly trying to get back to where he was before, but rather it was accepting where he was now and making peace with that, and like finding stability, finding a new normal, as opposed to trying to piece together what they had before, which like mentally is actually a really, really healthy message. So it's very
I completely agree with you. I didn't think of that. I completely agree with you, especially with the fact that he felt it was right to give the Asgardians over to Valkyrie because he said, "I'm not that person." He's not that person anymore. So he's doing something that he feels will help him, and that may be with the Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, it's really interesting that they took, like, Thor actually has one of, like, the deepest, like, thorough lines of trauma in the entire movie, and it is hidden and couched in, like, a joke, a constant reoccurring joke, but when you really start prying at it, it's really deep, and it actually says a lot about mental illness. So this is what I meant by this is one of the most subtle movies that Marvel has done. Because they do, this is only one storyline that they did.
I want to add to that real quick. So I'm going to derail slightly, but I was when you guys were talking about it, I came with a theory idea. I think each of the Avengers embodies an element of the stages of grief.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Oh, I want to hear this one.
So
Yeah.
I had to look up the list to see what they all were, and I had to try to think if it all matched up. I think Thor's in denial. He's trying to avoid the problem and
Yeah.
pretend it doesn't exist, and he's just kind of distancing himself from everything. He's denial for sure. Tony could kind of be a couple different things, but I think anger makes the most sense, because he is angry at Cap and everyone else for letting him down and not being there when he needed them. I think that makes the most sense for him. I think bargaining could be a couple different people, but I think Hulk makes the most sense. He's trying to make the best of his situation and trying to find the meaning of it by becoming this Professor Hulk character. I think it kind of works for him that way. In the case of acceptance, I think Captain America, because he's looking forward to trying to make a new plan to solve what they can do going forward.
And he's trying to help people accept it as the,
Yeah.
like...
Yes.
Yeah.
Wait, I'm sorry.
I
Keep
can't-
going.
I can't pin down depression, but I think Natasha or Clint kind of fit that pretty strong either way.
They both kind
See,
of
I
are,
think-
don't you think?
I honestly think that with Iron Man, his would be more depression of that he got let down by his team, and Clint is definitely anger. I mean, he
Yeah.
goes on a killing spree, and it's just killing everybody.
So, like, I would say if you're looking at it, like, I would say some of these ring true in the first 15 minutes of the movie, but don't ring true in the, like, after the 5-year skip. If we're looking at the list, I would say that Clint was definitely anger, because at the end of it all, he turned it all to rage and started killing people that he felt didn't deserve life at this point. I would say that Natasha was actually the bargaining one, because while she was doing everything that she could to try and salvage like what she could hold on to, and she was trying to essentially fill Nick Fury's role and hold on to the role that he gave her that made her life better, despite what had happened. I think denial is definitely, denial I would say was definitely Thor. That makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
And I would actually argue that after the 5-year time skip, it's Tony that embodies acceptance, because he was the only one that actually moved on. He had his own life. Him and Pepper and Morgan, they had their own cottage, and they were just living a happy life after the tragedy was all said and done. They had to bring
a good
him
point.
onto it.
That's really interesting. Like, Aaron, that's a really good thing to bring. Good thing to bring up. Oh, he's having connection issues.
No! Well, while he's doing
Where are
that,
you?
I mean,
Hey,
we
can you hear me now?
There he is.
He's back.
He's back.
I noticed my internet was like lagging super hard for a minute, and then I looked down, and that suddenly my Wi-Fi goes from the bars to the little like yellow sign. I'm like, fuck, and then everything starts shutting down. I'm like, no, go away, stop this bullshit.
Well, we were all agreeing with you. We were just having
Yeah.
different theories of what each, who embodied each stage of grief.
God damn it, I'm gone for like 30 seconds, not there to hear.
Yeah, you posed like a really interesting question, and then you didn't get to hear our
Yeah.
answers.
But no, I love
Yeah.
the theory. Though. I love how it went down. I'm glad you guys are kind of on board with it. I think it's fun. I think it's a cool idea to look at.
Oh yeah.
Moving on before my internet dies on me again. Which time travel team and or story did you find most interesting, and why?
Damn.
For me, I think it's easy. It's Captain America and Iron Man.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no,
Yeah.
those guys are fun.
Because like
Right?
all
I
of
mean-
the other ones were really, really funny and like cool, but when Steve and Tony go on their first mission together after Civil War, and they go back to the
Yeah.
past, and Tony gets to talk to his father for the
To his
first time in
dad.
forever, and Steve
Yep.
gets to see Peggy for the first time in fucking decades. Yeah, that was the biggest one. You're right.
I mean, it set him on the path to, I think, what happens at the end of the movie, right?
Yeah.
For each
Yeah,
of
I
them.
think so. Yeah, you're right. Like it's like they're.
Yeah.
I feel like their endings were like seated even like in like towards the very beginning of the movie. But you're right.
Yeah.
And
Oh, for sure,
in the
yeah.
70s trip, I think it's definitely starting to solidify like what their end
Yeah.
goals will be at the end.
And like I mentioned, like the thing that I loved the most about the movie was the sense of closure. I mean, Tony got to see his father where he never got to say goodbye. I mean, he reminisced about that so much, and
Yep.
the Age of Ultron, you know,
Yep.
and you know, Cap, that helped him make his final decision of what he was going to do later on.
Mm-hmm.
Which, yay! It was so nice to see Peggy Carter again. But you also have to remember that they basically had 2 trips because they also did the initial trip with
That
Cap,
is true.
Ant-Man, and Tony, and that was the frickin' most hilarious part of it.
That one was fun.
I will push and say that I actually like the New
Hulk
York.
does not like the stairs.
I'll say I like the New York trip the best part, just because I love seeing Avengers from a different angle. It's weird, but I just like how they
Yeah.
do it. It's so good.
Man, they're crapping on my guy Hulk, making him take the stairs. That was brutal.
Tony
He
gets
was
smacked in the
pissed.
face.
That was great. That was great.
That ass, though. That ass.
It's America.
America's ass.
America's ass.
America's ass.
That was funny stuff.
Also, that little bit too, where Hulk gets to see the Ancient One. That was kind of cool. I mean, it does answer the question of what the sorcerers were doing during the New York invasion.
That was really cool. Yeah.
And I mean, it kind of answers some things about Doctor Strange as well, which I know Ryan, you were probably excited about.
Mm-hmm.
That she specifically said he is going to be the best of us, and Hulk just specifically saying Stephen's name, she knew, hey, I have to give this guy the time stone. Like that was pretty cool moment.
I actually have a theory about Hulk. We'll get to it
I
in a
like
little
that.
bit, but I don't want to get to it now because I got that saved for later. Okay, next one I got here for you guys. Was Captain Marvel used well in this film, or do you feel like she was a bit tacked on?
Tacked on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is one of my
mean,
few gripes about the movie.
Yeah. It's tough.
I'm not gonna lie. I am all for the woman brigade that happened at in that fight scene, like all the women coming together and fighting. But she really wasn't there much, and that was frustrating. But I'm also kind of like, well, is that going to lead into future Captain Marvel movies where we're going to see what was going on out there that kept her attention away from what was going on?
Yeah, I feel like this movie really establishes her as the cosmic entity of the Avengers. You know, like she is essentially the space team. Like, because I know in the comics that Sword, which is the space operations for Shield. Is actually headed up by Captain Danvers, if I'm not mistaken. Comic book nerds,
it is.
you can get at us at evacstation@gmail.com and tell me what a moron I am. But
just do it anyway.
I think this movie, while I really wish she had been used more. I think it makes sense because the first good 2/3 of the movie was a more subtle approach, as opposed to this blazing sun lady is going to dive through your ship and fuck your day up. So I understand why she's not there in that part, but I also think it establishes the setting that Captain Marvel 2 is more than likely going to be a cosmic setting where it's Carol Danvers goes out into space and has a bunch of fucking adventures, as opposed to Carol Danvers is at home and fighting bank robbers or some shit. You know what I mean?
I would say I have a complaint though with Captain Marvel's character, and it's not that she wasn't used in the film much. I get it. It's mostly going to be Iron Man and Tony and Steve's story.
It was the OG people.
I do want to say I would have loved 2 minutes with her and Captain America going back and forth, or her and Thor going back and forth, because you have the 2 soldiers talking, you have the 2 god level characters talking. That would have been a fun little 2-minute bit of piece. I would have been okay with that. I didn't need more than that, but I feel like she was literally just there for
I'm surprised they didn't talk
problems,
more.
and that's kind of a little lame to me.
Yeah.
I definitely agree. I like, while I understand her minimal involvement up until the end where it's just like all combat, you're right. I wish we would have gotten more character development between her and the team as opposed to just a Skype chat where they're talking before she goes off and does more shit.
And especially when she showed up, like she was just there and they briefly talked, but it's like they already trust her. They don't know who this person is.
Right.
The only person who knows who she is Nick Fury, and he's not there.
He's dead as Spider-Man.
Yeah, exactly.
What are your thoughts, and here we go, on Natasha's sacrifice, and do you think she'll ever come back?
Oh, man.
I want to say I thought it was really interesting with her death that where she fell, how she fell, and also the music that was playing mirrored when Gamora died. It was the same music. She landed in the same type of position. So I thought that was actually, cinematic-wise, I thought that was very interesting. Between her and Barton, it made more sense for her to be the sacrifice. I hate saying it because I love Black Widow. But they kind of made note of it in the Avengers. Like, the Avengers were her family, but they were her only family. Clint had the possibility to get his wife and 3 kids back. And she kept saying she had a lot of red that she needed to clear from, from her life. Mm-hmm. And I think, her ledger, and I think this was her way of doing it. That she gave her red, gave her blood to save everybody else. But I do wish that they had paid some kind of homage to her later, because we have the funeral for Tony, but we do nothing for her, except for just establish that she's dead.
Well, from my understanding, is it's because Tony's such a public figure that everyone was going to have that funeral regardless, whereas Natasha, outside of the Avengers, didn't have a family, and she was kind of a cipher. I'm not trying to, defend their actions or anything, but I think that it would have been a lot harder to get people there for her versus Tony, who is literally like everyone in the world knows who Tony Stark is.
Well, they didn't have to have everybody there. Even the Avengers could have just done something. The remaining ones could have just done something together. They knew her. They knew what she did.
Yeah.
And they didn't have anything. So it was her sacrifice ended up getting really overshadowed by Tony's and, in a way, Steve's, too.
Maybe they'll address it more in her solo movie coming up in a year or two, because that could be where they want to push more of the attention towards.
So, speaking of that, so this obviously has to be a prequel, but are they going to address what happened? What do you guys think?
I see 2 options. The prequel is the most likely. The other option could be something along the lines of a prequel / Clint and maybe Scarlet Witch are trying to save her, like bring her back somehow. I don't think that'll be the case, but that's a possibility.
Or alternate reality shenanigans.
That's also true.
We've laid the groundwork.
That too.
So this is the DC universe all of a sudden? We got multiple timelines.
We built up to this.
Well, we're here now. Yeah. See, unlike DC, we built to this level. We didn't just jump to it and say, hey, this is happening now.
Everybody, all of our listeners, listen to the Justice League podcast where we discuss stuff like
to put it back to my Dragon Ball Z references, guys. We didn't just start at power level 9,000. We learned the Kamehameha first.
We had to go through the Kaioken and all that bullshit, man.
So apparently in this film, we only got to 3,000, but 3,000.
Oh, I love that reference. That's good.
I love you, 3,000.
That was so cute.
Speaking of which, let's jump to that as well. Was this a proper send-off for Iron Man / RDJ and the first 10 years of this franchise?
Oh, man. Dude, him saying, I am Iron Man and doing the snap, that was baller.
One of the most badass things I think he's ever done.
I would be hard-pressed to really, really think of a better way to have done it. Like, it was a gorgeous send-off. It made so much sense. And, the build-up, throughout 20 some odd movies, especially with his character. I mean, I don't think you could have asked for more, honestly, of a better send off.
I think too, when he was dying, like he couldn't even get words out. Like his last words literally were, "I am Iron Man." Pepper, when she was telling him, "It's okay, we're gonna be fine," like I thought that was perfect. She wasn't wailing over him or anything like that. She was letting him know, "Your duty is done. We're gonna, we're gonna be okay." And I thought that was great. And I think, and this goes into the after credits, the sound of him making his suit, that was literally from the first movie when he was making his
Yes,
suit
it was.
in the cave.
With the box of scraps.
Yep.
And that just sent chills down my back.
I also loved that it mirrored something early. Like it mirrored pretty much like the first time that we saw Pepper in the movie, which is right after he figures out like right after he figures out how to time travel using the quantum realm, and he tells Pepper, like I cracked it, and she's like, that sounds amazing and terrifying, and he says, I can just put this away. I can throw it in the bottom of the ocean. We'll never have to deal with it again. I can leave it behind. And she asks him, but would you be able to rest?
Right.
It's just like it makes sense because like you want to go to bed, but would you actually be able to get to sleep knowing that you had the capability to save all of the people that we lost? Would you be able to rest? And finally, the last thing she says to him is, you can rest now. It's fucking gorgeous.
Yeah.
I want to add
That was
as well.
beautiful.
This is the guy, Robert Downey Jr. and Iron Man, however you want to look at it. This is the guy the whole MCU is built off of. I get that there's other important pieces to the franchise as well, but I don't think we would have gotten this far, and I don't think it would have gotten nearly as big if it wasn't for the fact that Iron Man 1 and his whole every episode he showed up since then has been so wildly successful. The character's been so wildly popular, and I think that there's really no other way you could have ended his story. And I think that they built up to this over the course of 10 years, and they did solid work every step of the way.
Yeah.
I think too, when they did the funeral scene for him, I think that was fantastic, especially again with the symbol of proof that Tony Stark has a heart. But also there was an Easter egg in there that I'm not
Iron Man
sure
3
everybody
kid?
caught, where when they pan back, yes, you see the Iron Man 3 kid.
I straight up
there.
had to look up who that was. I was like,
I did too. I was like, who the heck is this kid? But the fact that that kid was there during the funeral means that Tony still probably kept in touch with him, still probably worked with him and everything like that. Like, there was so much more... There was so much of a man to Tony. He wasn't just... Steve made a comment like, without the suit, what are you? And it's like, he's a person. And you saw that with all these people who were there with the proof that Tony Stark has a heart, and he died to save everybody. I think it's a great send off for him.
And to piggyback on what you're saying, Aaron, like ever since Steve has said that, Iron Man has been trying to prove him wrong that he is a true hero. I mean, look at the first Avengers movie, like all of them, and then he messes up with Ultron. He's been trying to fix that ever since, basically, and then he gets to save the whole world, even though he knows he's giving up everything he loves, because he wants to prove that he is Iron Man. He is a hero.
Not just the whole world, man, whole universe.
Yep. Oh yeah. I mean, the whole universe. So.
God, his ego's huge.
And
probably.
I thought it was. I thought it was cool, just as a final note on that, for me, is when he said, I am Iron Man, and he passed away, he did it without the mask on. Mm-hmm. It was his face.
Yep.
Let's get to some other questions here, because we're at about an hour and 20 on the recording, and I don't want to keep you guys for forever. So, next one I got here. Steve goes back in time to return the stones. Would you have wanted to see the stories of how Steve returns those stones at all? Because... not in this movie, but I feel like a little side bit would have been kind of funny to see how he gets those back, especially like that awkward conversation he's got to have with Red Skull.
Yes, that's really what I want to
Like,
see.
what happened there?
Oh my
Hey,
god!
I brought
didn't
this
think
back.
about that.
Like, what the fuck are you doing?
Or how's he gonna get it back into Jane Foster? I mean,
Excuse me, miss.
Hey,
I
I need to
have
put
to
this
shove
back
this
in
inside
you.
you and release this stone.
Yeah. No, but for real, like, the Soul Stone, like, how's that even happen? Like, do you just say, hey, I don't need it anymore? Can I have a soul back? Or what? Like, how's that work?
I'm
Hey,
sure
Schmidt,
he
I'm
took-
back with the Soul Stone. What's your return policy?
Yeah, like, can we get Black Widow back? That'd be cool.
I'm
I can give you a
it
Gamora
was-
for free.
I'm sure it was some bullshit like, well, a soul needs to be given in order to return the stone to its proper place, and then Steve promptly chucks the Red Skull off the fucking cliff.
Don't need you anymore.
he can float. He's floaty.
Are you sure I can give you this stone, Schmidt? Because I feel like you're not still like Hydra, are you? No. I'm just Space Ghost now.
Space goes coast to coast. God damn it.
I
Low
miss
Space
this.
Ghost.
Can we get a what if? Can one of the what if episodes in that animated series they want to do be this storyline? I think this would just be fun to watch.
Yes. Oh,
Oh,
please,
yeah,
yes.
that'd be awesome.
Yes, please.
Next question I got here. So Thanos changes his plan after seeing his future self's death. He changed it from wanting to kill half of everything to just restarting the universe from scratch. Do you think this makes him more or less terrifying as a villain? And do you think this weakens his characterization from what we received in the previous film?
I'm gonna let y'all go first because I have like a thesis on this shit. So you
I really want to get the thesis.
I do too.
I think it makes him a better villain because he's like doubling down on his crazy theory with this, saying that, hey, I failed with this because that did not work. I need to just start over and become a god. I think that's what he's basically saying. I could be wrong.
All right. Aaron?
Ryan, have at it. I want to hear your theory.
I'm clearing the floor for you, buddy. Go for it.
Okay. So, what I really like about this is that when you really consider it, the Thanos that we see, the Thanos that becomes the antagonist at the end of this movie, is 9 years younger than the Thanos that we encounter in Infinity War. And I have to tip my hat to Josh Brolin because he actually plays it really, really well. When you look at Thanos from Infinity War, he seems more collected. He seems more almost compassionate to the people that he's killing. And it's because he's seen so much death, but he knows that it's necessary for the universe to survive in his worldview. So it's almost like he's more respectful of the people that are trying to stop him as he does this. And when you contrast it with what you see in Endgame, you see a younger, more brash, more ruthless Thanos. That's essentially this guy who's been given all the answers to the test. He didn't have to actually work for 9 years and toil and learn and grow before he accomplishes his goal. Somebody essentially just shows up and says, oh, by the way, all the stones will be here at this time and you can kill these people and pick it up. Congratulations. So I really like the difference in characteristics between the two of them. I don't think he's a better villain. And I think it's because he doesn't have that empathy. I think I think as a character, he is weaker in Endgame. But I like the explanation for it because we see a younger, less mature Thanos than the one who saw himself as the grandfather that just has to do what needs to be done in order to save the remainder of the universe. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, Ryan, I agree with you a lot with that. And there's also a huge difference between the Thanos of 9 years ago and the Thanos in Infinity Wars in that to get that Soul Stone, he had to sacrifice something he loved the most, and that was his daughter.
That's true.
adopted daughter. We don't have that. We don't have that type of grief or compassion from the Thanos who comes in Endgame. And I think it makes him a worse it diminishes his character because in a way with Infinity Wars, it's kind of like you can almost see where he's coming from. As twisted as it sounds, the way he talks about it, you can almost see where he's coming from versus Endgame where he's like, I'm just gonna restart everything. You're like, you're freaking batshit crazy, dude. Freaking grimace.
Yeah. I mean, and the
No, yeah.
I'm sorry, Robbie. Go ahead, please. I've been talking forever.
No, you're dead on in saying that he's a better character because he's had these life experiences, even though it's for a very batshit crazy reason. The only thing I was saying is that he went from having that compassion and being a character that you could sympathize with, which in a way makes him a better villain.
Yes.
It makes him a more batshit crazy villain, being like, hey, I'm going to erase everything and start over. Like, everybody's going to be gone this time, not just half of people. And if I do this, you guys aren't coming back. It's such a complicated question, though. Like, I mean, it's tough because, Ryan, you're right. Like, yeah, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
Go ahead, Aaron. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, sorry. I agree with you a little bit, Robbie. I think that not 100% though. I agree that I think Thanos in this film is definitely a much bigger threat. I think that him removing the compassion and
That's
empathy
what I'm saying, I guess, yeah.
does make
Yeah.
him a more terrifying, for lack of a better term, final boss. But I think character-wise,
Yeah.
he had more depth in Infinity War. And
He was a way better character.
and
yeah.
I think
yeah.
it's a good trade-off. I think the reason for it too makes sense. So I think neither Thanos is bad, but I do think that we wouldn't respect this Thanos and what a threat he is if we didn't get the other version first.
Yeah, 100%.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Yeah, agreed.
I mean, essentially, the Thanos that we have to fight in Endgame is the Thanos that we see in Guardians of the Galaxy 1. When he shows up and he's like all just brash, imperialistic. He's the guy that calls Ronan the Destroyer boy. And it's just like, It's like, your politics bore me. And and if you don't do as I say, I will crush your bones and some shit. It's just like, he's more just archetypical, super powerful villain, and okay, that's whatever. And then over 9 years, he actually grows some, and then I would have rather gotten the story, like the rationale behind Thanos, from that older, more mature version. So I definitely think the juxtaposition plays off, and it's really, really cool that you get to see both of those in this movie, because they start off by killing the mature Thanos, who realized there's no need to fight you. My job has been done, and I've made sure that it can't be undone. Like, there's literally nothing else for me to do. I've completed my mission, and he doesn't even fight when they show up. Whereas
he just wants to pick his weird prickly fruit.
Yeah, he just wants to nurse his wounds and make his
prickly
fruit soup. I don't know what the fuck he was making.
I love Dorians.
and limp around because his arm doesn't work.
Fruit soup. I don't know what the fuck.
All right, next question. Next question I got here.
Oh shit.
Do y'all think Steve Rogers' end was well earned, or do you agree with the angry fans that this undermines his character development since Civil War?
Who the fuck said
So, Ryan,
that? You give them my home address. I will.
So Ryan,
What are
let
you
me
talking
explain.
about?
Let me explain.
Ooh, sorry.
So I was curious about this as well, because I saw articles that said that this is not Captain America, this undermines his character, yada yada yada. Okay, so
I
Aaron
read
knows
that too.
So to break it down, Ryan, there's a contingent of fans who think that this goes against Captain America's character from Civil War, the character who would sacrifice everything for Bucky, because a lot of these people were shipping Bucky and Cap, and they think it's weird that he would go back in time to be with Peggy instead of stay with Bucky. I'm reading this, I'm like, did y'all watch the first Avengers? Did you skip that because you thought it was boring? Because that explains everything.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the first
Captain America.
explains
That's what I meant to
everything.
say.
Like, yeah, first Avenger. No, Can I jump
Yes,
in
go
before
ahead.
you guys get into that?
Go for it.
My
Dan.
my problem with this deals with the timeline thing that we were talking about before, which we won't get into because then we're going to talk for another hour. My problem with it is if it is what I feel like they were trying to explain with this time stuff, where it's not alternate timelines, it's all still technically kind of the same timeline. That him going back and sitting through all this stuff happening when he knows what's going to happen. Hydra, Bucky being in the Soviets, all that, and not doing anything and just holding onto his Captain America shield. You tell me he just hung out for all this time? Like, yeah, I get that he loves her and he wanted to finally have that happen, but he's Captain fucking America. He's not going to just sit there and not do anything. Am I wrong? Or am I just reading way too much into
I
that?
hear you. Ooh, I hear you, Robbie. I hear you. But picture this. He's going back to a
Tell me why I'm
time-
wrong, because I want to know.
He's going back to a time that he already knows America survives through. Like when he goes back to the 70s, he's been in the ice for a long time. He knows that the country and the world will survive without him so that he can rest. He actually takes time to go live his own life because literally where he is, the world did not need Captain America.
To add to that, too, I want to add real quick.
That's a really good point.
I want to add to that, though. The Cap that we see that goes back in time, he's already gone through that. He's already fought Hydra. He's already done everything that we've done.
True.
So
true.
he's experienced.
No, 100%. Yep.
And I think going in his alternate timeline, he's like, listen, these guys don't really become a problem until I wake up anyway, so me being here and resting during this, like, in-between time, I think I've earned it. And I think when this version of Captain America in this timeline wakes up, he can deal with it, and I'll go back to my timeline.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. I don't know.
Do you still feel some kind of way about it, Robbie? Let's talk about it. Talk about it.
Because, all right, the reason I feel this way is specifically what happens in this movie. I know it was a throwaway line, but when he's fighting himself in the Avengers, he tells him that Bucky's alive. Because that Captain America does not know that yet, right?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So when he goes back, he knows Bucky's alive. He can save Bucky all this trouble, killing Iron Man's parents, all that. I know he doesn't want to change the timeline probably, but I just don't feel like Captain America would just sit there and be like, yo, my best friend is going through some shit right now, but I'm going to let him do all that, and then I won't find him until way later in this actual timeline. I don't know. The way that their relationship was, I just feel like he wouldn't just sit on his hands just to be with Peggy, even though he loves her, and I know he does, and that's the whole point of that. I don't know. It's just something I thought about after the movie, and it kind of kept me up last night. Because I kept going around and around.
Aaron, go ahead, yeah.
So, I'm sorry. Go.
Oh, you're fine. I can completely see where you both are coming from, and I do, I agree with both of you, honestly, because I can see where you're coming from. The one thing that, came to my mind when I was reading it was, of all the Avengers that we've had, I think Steve is the only one who actually could stop himself from rushing in to change things. All of our Avengers have been rule breakers, and yes, Steve has gone on the so-called dark path because he didn't want to agree with the Sokovia Accords, but he's probably the most honorable Avenger, and he's heard over and over, if you go back and do this type of stuff, it can affect different types of timelines and things like that. So he steps back. He doesn't do the things because he knows how the events are going to play out. And that in the end, Bucky's going to end up being free. He's going to be with the Avengers. Yes, he's going through hell right now, but he also doesn't know if rushing in to save Bucky would end up helping or fix anything. Bucky could end up getting killed, or Steve could end up getting killed.
Or he could
for
get
all we
brainwashed.
know. And Right, or he could
Yeah.
be brainwashed.
That's fair.
Versus
That's fair.
Bucky is now alive and free of Hydra and has a chance to do good in the world.
Yeah.
So he doesn't do anything. He sticks with the code, he sticks with what he's been warned about with the time stuff, and he lives a life. He does exactly what Iron Man told him to do, is get a life.
He did actually say that, so I mean,
I
I guess. Yeah.
I think the
Sorry. Go
biggest
ahead.
I think the biggest point that I could make in regards to why he just sits behind is because the Steve that goes back in time is a Steve that has lived through so many things. If
Yeah.
you
Oh, he has a lot
told
of
me
trauma.
that
That's for sure.
Captain
Yeah.
America from The Winter Soldier went back in time, 100%. No, I
Yeah.
can go get Bucky right the fuck now, and then he would just go off and do it and cause God knows what to happen. But this older version of Captain America, he's seen what happens when you just haul off like with no consequence to the bigger picture, because it was that impulse to fix every single thing that he sees wrong that ultimately, and I am a big Captain America fan, so guys, don't at me, but it's ultimately what leads to the Avengers breaking up, because he can't
Yeah.
not go away from that. He has to go fix it if he sees something going awry. It's a heroic trait, but untempered, it can cause a lot of damage. I think he's
Yeah.
learned that lesson, and he's seen many of his friends die, and he knows that eventually all of this is going to go okay. He's got that wisdom, and he's grown past the person who can't exist without a war to fight. So I think this was the absolute perfect send-off for him. He goes to a time where he knows Captain America cannot exist and the world will go on just fine, and he actually gets to live the life that he sacrificed to save the world several times.
Do you think this ties back? So now listening to both of you talk through that, do you think this goes back to earlier in the movie after everybody's dusted and it's been 5 years? He's the one actually talking about his acceptance, even though he's not really sure how to accept it. But this is finally his acceptance of knowing everything's going to be okay, and I'm just going to go do this and be off the grid. Like, he's finally accepted he's not needed anymore.
Yeah, I think he has Captain America, and especially since when he does, when it all comes around and he's back with the shield and everything, and he's ready to just pass it off.
He's done.
God, I love how we keep tying this back to Captain America being acceptance.
Yes.
But he actually talked about it. Yeah.
So because
true,
my argument that you missed, Aaron, was that actually it's Iron Man that I think embodies acceptance, because when it was all said and done, while everybody was trying to move on, he actually moved on and had a family and was just perfectly okay with it. And I think the biggest part that points to that is because he was the one saying, we cannot just rewind the clock and have that never happen, because the stuff that happened past that, I have to preserve this. He's the one fighting most animately that we can't just undo it. We have to fix it, but I can't lose my family that I've actually grown out of acceptance from this turmoil. But I do think that Steve is trying. I don't think he's there just yet until the very end of the film, but I think when he starts off, he is trying to go back to acceptance.
That's fair. That's fair. Next up, I got here, and I don't want to steamroll you guys, but we got 3 more bits left. Number one, do you like Professor Hulk, and where do you expect Hulk to show up next? I have a theory for this, but y'all go first.
I thought Professor Hulk was hilarious.
He was great.
He was great. He was some much needed levity, and I really liked the idea that that Infinity War is Banner and Hulk completely at odds, and Endgame is them learning how to live in perfect harmony. I think that's perfectly fine, and I love that. It was also interesting to see a rendition of like the perfect merger of Banner and Hulk that wasn't just god fucking terrifying, because the only version of Hulk that I'm personally familiar with where he reaches that level is Planet Hulk, where he just becomes the ruler of an alien world and just holds it down with sheer might and intellect. That's what I was expecting.
And then comes back for World War.
Yeah, when World War Hulk shows up, it's
and wants to kill everybody.
Ooh, you can't really stop him.
That's terrifying.
But no, I love Professor Hulk. To keep it short, I loved him, and I don't know where the fuck he's gonna show up next. Honestly,
I actually love the juxtaposition they have, where they have like former angry Hulk smashing up New York, and then Professor Hulk just kind of sitting there like, yeah, I'm a little embarrassed about this.
That was my favorite moment. I was actually going to list that as my favorite moment. Because that was great.
Nice. Yeah. So I want to give a theory here for Hulk real quick, because I think they hinted at it here, and I think I have a theory that is going to make it all make sense.
All right.
In the comics, one of the team-ups that Hulk has right after the Avengers, after he leaves it, is with Doctor Strange and Namor. And what we get in this film is he talks to, what's her name, Ancient One, at the Sanctum Sanctorum, and they talk about Doctor Strange, and I feel like they're kind of hinting at the idea that since Thor's going to be gone, we're not going to team up again. Planet Hulk is done. That's over. Now we're going to get to the quote-unquote Defenders, or probably some other name at this point. I think we're going to see Hulk palling around with Doctor Strange a little bit. I think because they hinted at it a little bit here with the underwater earthquakes over by Wakanda, we're probably going to get Namor as well. I wouldn't be surprised if we see all three of them in the same spot at some point in Phase 4.
That'd be cool. I'd be down with that.
Yeah, that'd be fun, man.
I think it's very interesting. I think it definitely could be played out if properly done. So I'd be interested in seeing that on the screen. Sure.
Nice. Okay, so Robbie hit on it a second ago, but we'll jump into it real quick. Favorite moment, least favorite moment. What you all get like just a short little snippet here. What do you got?
Can I give a different one since I listed that?
Yes.
Steal mine, Robbie. I swear.
Yeah.
Ryan, I think you
I'm
were
probably
doing the
gonna
same
steal
one.
his. Ryan, you just go ahead. Or we'll come back around for our least favorite moment. Go ahead, Ryan. I'm sorry.
No, I'm sorry. The fact that Captain is worthy and he wields Mjolnir with the fucking shield.
That was so badass.
And so
Are we on the
was
same
Thanos.
page?
Oh dear God! I thoroughly enjoyed the entirety of the movie. That was the one moment that I started like screaming and like cheering. It was like
Yup.
It was just so good. Like
I almost gave a standing ovation for that moment. That was really good.
Oh God, Captain wielding
when
the
Thor
hammer.
When Thor said, "I knew it," I feel like everybody said that out loud. Right? I knew
At
it.
the same time.
Yeah. I knew it. Yeah, that was badass. Ryan, I was actually going to say when everybody showed up behind Captain America.
That was gorgeous.
That was my second pick.
It was such a comic book moment. Like, we have everybody now. Like, it was so cool.
I love that, especially when he just was like, kind of did the growl of Avengers Assemble.
Assemble! Yes, we finally
It was
got
such
it.
a comic book movie.
Hey,
like,
Cap.
Moan.
Hey, Cap, on your left.
Yeah.
I think my favorite moment, I'm sorry, gotta go with the women power, was when Captain Marvel got the gauntlet and all the women Avengers just came around her and were like, we got this. I'm like, yep, I'm good. This is my favorite.
I will say that that moment loses just a little bit of for me because Natasha's not there.
Yes,
she needs to be there for
true.
that.
That does suck because she would have earned that because I mean she was the OG female Avenger, you know.
Yep.
Quickly, least favorite moments. Has anyone got one of those?
I'll go back into the Lebowski Thor and the mock of the PTSD stuff.
I want to piggyback on that, actually. It's not necessarily a least favorite moment, but it's a cringy moment for me. And it's when they bring up Fortnite. Fuck Fortnite.
Dude, but Korg was so funny there, man. You gotta give
Korg
guy
was great,
Korg
but
some
goddamn
props.
it, I hate Fortnite so much.
Korg's the man, though. That was
I think we just lost a bunch of viewers.
It's okay, I don't need them.
Hawaiian shirt. Oh, it was great.
It was good. It was pretty good.
Yeah, I was trying to think of what my least favorite moment was. That's a good question. Ryan, do you got one?
Well, while you're thinking of that, I was gonna say while you're thinking of that, I can pick my third favorite moment because Ryan took my number one, and you took my number two.
Oh, okay.
My third favorite is the scene where they actually set up the heist and they're talking about the stones like they're doing the whole heist planning thing.
Yeah.
It reminds me of the YouTube series I watch, Achievement Hunter, where they do like the GTA 5 heists. And they actually do like a live action bit where they go over the map and detail their stupid plans. I just love it because it's a good scene for comedy, and I just love Thor going up there and just getting derailed instantly with his explanation of the Reality Stone. It's all so good. That part's great.
And that was actually, I feel like that was a mirror to Thor Dark World when what's-his-name was in the mental institution and was trying to do all that full explanation.
Selvig, yeah.
I think they were wearing similar clothing.
Yeah, they actually were.
That's a really good call out, Aaron. That's a really good one.
Yeah.
Least favorite
Ryan,
moment?
least favorite for you? Anything you want to add to that list?
I think I would go with the realization that past Nebula could actually access future Nebula's thoughts and memories. I was like, it just pissed me off. Like I understand like we needed a way to loop like past Thanos in so that he can become the big bad, but I was just mad. Like I was just upset when that happened.
Oh yeah. So that actually triggers what my least favorite moment is. Back to the Future is not bullshit. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. I don't care what anybody says. Back to the Future time travel is number one.
I like it.
Fight me.
And a quick special shout out for the 30 seconds where Star-Lord's dancing and singing to himself, and you just see the other two watching him like, is he
he's actually singing out loud. Like it was perfect.
Yes,
it
that was
the
amazing.
perfect turnaround because
Dude,
that was such an
funny.
iconic
That was funny
scene to enter into Guardians of the Galaxy. It really set the tone, and then from looking at it outside, like. This moron is actually singing out loud while traipsing through a fucking ruin. This moron.
It actually reminds me of the fan edits I've seen for Spider-Man 3, where they fan edit the music out of the one part where Spider-Man's dancing down the street, and it just makes it look like a total jackass.
Yes. Well, he was a total jackass even with the music.
But he's even more of a cringy little shit when there's no music for him to dance to. He's just like finger gutting down the street.
Man, you're poking daggers into my chest here with bringing up that movie. Woof.
I know. That's on my list for future movies to cover, but we'll get to that another time. We'll get to
not today. We don't have time.
Okay. Last set of questions before we get to the ranking of the film. And I know we're getting a little on, but we're almost there. So this movie plants seeds everywhere. You've got the hint for the Loki show. You've got drops down for Captain Falcon and Bucky. You've got even the setup for Guardians Volume Thor.
Yes.
So my question for you guys, of all these projects and other ones we may not have even thought of, what are you most excited to see from Phase 4? What do you want to see from Phase 4? And how the hell is WandaVision going to happen if Vision still dead?
That was my main question.
Yeah.
The Vision thing. Like, they didn't even talk about him.
Well,
my theory on that one
she raged.
is...
She raged about him.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. She did.
Well, a theory I've been seeing poked around a little bit. I kind of like it. is that she is going to recreate Vision with her reality warping powers, because if you know Scarlet Witch from the comics,
yes,
she can fucking rewrite reality to whatever the fuck she wants, and she's strong enough to do it.
So, my question with the Vision, and sorry if this is going to be a tangent, hopefully I can fire it out quick, is in Infinity War, they were trying to figure out a way for him to exist without the Mind Stone, correct?
Mm-hmm.
But they never really talked about if they got to that point or not.
I think they were working on it, but like he had to leave the operating table so that he could go save them from Thanos.
But like Shuri,
the only one who could do it too is Shuri, and she got dusted.
Yeah.
True.
I bet Wanda and
True,
Shuri
yeah.
together could figure out how to recreate Vision.
Right? I mean,
probably.
She's got to have that saved somewhere, right? Like, how far she got?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That's my question.
I'm really excited. I want to see Captain Falcon and Bucky.
Yes, I'm calling it Captain Falcon. I don't care who hates it. I love it.
I love it. I want Captain Falcon and Bucky. I think that'd be great. I mean, it's a given I want Loki too, because Loki, oh my god, but yeah, Captain Falcon and Bucky would be fucking hilarious.
Well, I'm gonna play this song until I'm dead and laid in my grave, but I want more Doctor Strange, goddamn it.
I do too.
Can't wait.
Well,
I hear you. I hear you.
Doctor Strange, it is coming out. It's set for 2020, I think, for Doctor Strange 2.
Yeah, I cannot wait.
Especially
I can't wait to see more of him actually becoming the Sorcerer Supreme.
Yes.
Especially if Hulk's going to be there for that too. Hopefully, that'd be great.
Yeah, it would. It would. What I think.
Did you just say Hulkfully?
No, I said hopefully.
Yes.
Okay.
Hopefully. I like it.
It's like, really?
New word.
Now, way in the future, just as a spinoff from that, way in the future, what I would really love, possibly for Doctor Strange 3, maybe, is if we finally get Doctor Strange actually teaching Wanda how to harness her power, because Scarlet Witch actually becomes an accomplished fucking sorceress on top of reality bending powers. So as soon as Doctor Strange looks at her and says, you've just got a stupid amount of universal energy, and if you learn spells, you could be one of the most powerful wizards of all time. So come make an appointment with the doctor. I'm going to teach you how to do this shit. And that's going to be goofy.
That sounds dirty, Brian.
Stop it.
Wow.
That's not what I meant.
Make an appointment with the doctor.
Oh my god.
Well, allow me to...
Well, I mean, Vision's dead, so, fuck it. You might as well.
Yeah, but Doctor Strange's squeeze is still alive.
I think
possibly.
I think he's moved on from her almost.
I think he's moved on from her too, though.
I think so too.
Also, you're
not
just
saying
being
I don't ship him and
contrarian.
Wanda.
You're just being contrarian.
Yeah, I'm just being a
that's
jerk.
the other Aaron's job. You
I
concentrate
was
on
just
being
gonna
nice.
say I'm taking a page from his book.
What you don't realize, Ryan, is the Aarons have a hive mind, and we're all contrarians.
Oh no!
Wah. I am a Libra. I can go either way.
Now that sounds.
That's what
good.
she said. Okay, so I want to throw in my 2 cents here real quick. With the return of my beloved James Gunn, Guardians Volume Thor is the one I'm most excited for. And I guess I'm calling it that because, come on.
As Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah.
There's
It's gonna be
so many
baller.
ways
That's
to
gonna be a
take
fun
it. I'm
time.
excited no matter what.
That'll be fun.
Him and Star-Lord together are it's just a match made in heaven, man. It's so
It's
fun.
not a match I expected to love, but goddamn, they make it funny every interaction.
I love it.
It's great.
Yeah. The way he looked at him.
Yes,
Yeah,
no,
see,
you're in
see,
charge.
you
You're
say-
in charge. Yes.
See, you say that I'm in charge, but then you keep moving the map, which kind of infers that you're still in charge. It's me, guys. I'm in charge.
Everybody knows who's in charge.
Of course.
Yes, you are. Mhm.
Of course.
Oh my god, that was
But
so
you might
funny.
just want to go this way.
Like, I hope it's more than a
That's gonna be a
cameo.
good-
I
damn
really
good
do.
movie.
Like,
Yeah.
I want that
Yeah.
to be a dynamic they play with for a bit.
I mean, they hinted at Adam Warlock for Guardians 3. So the Guardians actually having somebody that can go toe to toe with like a super powerful cosmic being, it makes sense that Thor is on par for that one.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And I'm looking forward to seeing Gamora, the search for Gamora, be the B plot. Actually, this brings up a question. So I've actually listened to this on their podcast, and it's been back and forth debate. Did Gamora get dusted, or do you think she's alive still? I think she's alive. I don't get why anyone thinks she's dusted.
Well,
Well, how could she? Oh, you mean like?
So past,
No, I think she's
yeah,
alive.
past
Yeah.
Gamora. Yeah.
you're thinking of the 2014 version, if she got dusted or not with everybody else.
Yeah.
That's an interesting
I think
question,
she-
but I don't think so. I think she made her choice to stand against Thanos, and then afterwards she had no loyalty to the Guardians because she hadn't lived that life, so she just dipped the fuck out.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Nebula
That's fair.
didn't get poofed either.
Yeah, I didn't think so. That's what I was thinking. But no, I'm looking for that being the B plot of Guardians 3
Well-
as well. So
The Nebula that we see is the 2019 version because she shot the 2014
Oh, that's right.
version.
That's true. I still don't
So-
think she got dusted though.
Yeah, I agree.
yeah.
I wanted to ask this. Did you guys notice when we saw Groot at the funeral, just with Guardians, that he had little leaves starting to grow out of the top of his head?
He's
didn't.
becoming an old
Oh.
man.
And a
now.
little bit of moss. It was
Yeah,
was
they
so
grown up.
Our little
Growing
boy's
up.
growing up.
Aw.
All right, so a quick reminder for everyone listening, because we are now at an hour and 56 almost. You can find us on patreon.com. You can also go to Facebook, Twitter, and Tumblr to reach out to us. All the questions I just asked, and if anything else you can think of, please let us know what you think. We would love to hear from you guys. We might revisit those here in a future episode. Just a bonus thing, who knows. If you want to email us directly for any questions, comments, or concerns, Ryan, what is that email?
That email is "you look like melted ice cream" at Gmail. Sorry, that is evacstation@gmail.com.
Always good ones.
That was
always
such a
good
funny line too. that was
All right.
good shit.
All right, so I think you all have the list link in the chat, so let's do that real quick. We're back, everybody, to the List of Infinity, or List to Infinity, whatever we ended up calling it. We rank all the Marvel films from best to worst. Number one right now is Avengers Infinity War, and number 21 is Iron Man 3. Now, in our bonus episode off the air, on Patreon only, Ryan and I actually went through and gave each of them our own little medal rankings, platinum, gold, silver, all the stuff in between, etc., etc. So we'll do a little bit of both here. We're going to put Endgame on the list, and then we can give a quick little, ranking to it as well. So let's start off, guys. Where on the hell on this list are we going to put this movie at?
Well, it was obviously worse than Iron Man 3, so let's just put it at the end there. And, there's not a whole bunch of debate that needs to be had there.
I personally think it's just a little below Dark World myself, but I don't know.
I'm surprised Dark World is as high up as it is. Dang.
Well,
We were charitable.
There was back and forth on some of these. I'll tell you that much.
How
I
did you like
I
Dark
worked
World
on
more
it.
than Iron Man 3?
There's good parts of Dark World.
It was mostly the fact that I liked what they were trying to accomplish with Dark World. It was just not as well executed as I wanted it to be, and people weren't really into the whole super fantasy stuff, unfortunately. But
Well,
yeah,
Aaron,
no.
in a side tangent, Aaron, if you look at the actual scores Ryan and I both have listed here, you can see where I landed on some of these. We weren't always in agreement with how the list ranked. We weren't always in agreement.
I like the dirt and stone.
Dirt. Okay, so Endgame. I want to make a case here, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to get some argument, some denial, but here we go. I want to put it at number 2. I think Infinity War is a more laser-focused character study of Thanos. I think it is a more concise film, and it's really, really solid, really good setup. I think everything Infinity War does is absolutely 100% successful without question. I think Endgame has one absolutely fatal flaw that to me holds it from being number one. You have to have seen Infinity War for any of Endgame to mean anything to you.
That's
You can
fair.
see Infinity War without the other films to an extent and still get a good idea what's going on, but I think Endgame loses all meaning without Infinity War.
I don't disagree with you, but I don't think that particularly holds it back. Because and I know when we originally did this, the reason that we put Guardians up at number one for so long was because it's the best example of the MCU that you could literally give someone who's never seen a single Marvel movie and said, "Here, watch this. If you like it, I've got 20 other movies for you."
This is true.
Like, and that's why it was above for so long. Infinity War, you kind of have to know what the hell is going on. Like, it is beholden to information from the other movies. Not as heavily as Endgame, I'll grant you that. But you still, like, if you go to see Infinity War without seeing any other Marvel movie, you're gonna be, like you're gonna lose, like, 80% of the actual story outside of there's this really powerful alien coming to Earth and all these superheroes have to stop it. That's all you get.
I get you. But the thing I'm saying though is that with Endgame, for a good middle hour of the film, it's fan service the movie. You're going back to see old films, you're going back to see old sets, old characters, all this stuff. None of that can be quantified or understood by anyone who's just walking in and be like, oh, I don't know who any of these guys are. Infinity War, they do a fairly solid job setting up everything for you and at least giving you a brief rundown of who you're dealing with here.
Okay, that is fair. That is fair. My counter argument is that it's kind of exactly that reason why I want to put it number one. I mean, you're correct in the fact that Infinity War is hyper-focused in setting up the massive conflict, and it perfectly executes what it is trying to do. But which is no small feat by at all. But when you compare it to what Endgame is trying to do, which is not only pay off on the conflict that was started in Infinity War, but also pay off on like 10 individual character arcs in a subtle and just gorgeously crafted way. I think what it's attempting to do is like a magnitude more difficult, and I think it pulls it off damn near flawlessly. So I think because of that, because of the subtlety, because of the multitude of plates that it keeps spinning and the fact that it keeps them all in the air with like near perfect rotation, I want to give it number one.
It does a much better job spinning those plates than some of the movies we have talked about. Iron Man 2.
It's very true. It's very true.
So Robbie, Aaron, we're back and forth on this one. Where do you guys want to land on this one? We need some tiebreakers here.
Go for it, Robbie.
So, even with my gripes against time travel in this movie, which we will talk about at a later date, but not today.
Of course.
I have to put it number one. It closes the chapter in all these movies in a very satisfying and final way and does a great service for the overall character arcs for our OG characters, specifically Iron Man and Captain America. And I feel like that says something to all these great movies that we've seen over the past 11 years. And Infinity War does a better job of setting up the character arc for our villain, and easily the best villain of all these movies. But Endgame was just better for the characters that we grew up with from 2008 until today. So I gotta put it number one. I'm with Ryan.
I feel so old.
I know, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to have to go with Ryan and Robbie with Endgame being number one for the reasons they said, but also there's a big difference between Endgame and Infinity War in that Endgame gives us the ending. It gives us the closures. It gives us these moments that we needed. Whereas Infinity War cut us to the core and left us bleeding. And it was also the dream sequence thing. It's the thing that, it never happened. I mean, our characters came back in Endgame. We knew that was going to happen. So it was a very false ending for me for Infinity War. And don't get me wrong, I really enjoyed Infinity War, but it was a very hollow ending to the movie, that all the characters got dusted when we already know that they were going to come back, because at least something was going to cause them to come back, because we have the second Doctor Strange. We knew that we had the second Black Panther. Like,
Spider-Man,
they're not going to kill Spider-Man. They're not going to kill
Yeah.
off these characters. So it was while it was sad, it was also a hollow feeling at the end of it. Versus Endgame, you got that completion. You got the closure that you needed. And while yes, I am sad for the characters who passed away or who died, I'm content. And I can't say that very often when characters I like get killed. I'm content with the ending. So I gotta go with Endgame.
And just a quick 2 cents. I'm not disagreeing with you on the ending of Infinity War with the whole dusting thing. I do think it is undermined by the marketing bullshit, but I still give them credit for their performances really nailing just how that loss hits them. I think that's more important than the actual loss themselves.
Oh, God, yeah.
So.
100%.
Oh, God,
yeah, 100%.
Absolutely.
And then Ryan, for
Completely
records
agree.
keeping sake and completion, do we want to give our scores both platinums here, I'm assuming?
Yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and put that on black.
Not a problem. I just want to make sure for record-keeping purposes the list is complete.
No, it's a stone, Aaron.
Absolutely.
What do you think?
Ryan, I will double down on that and say it's shit. I'm offended
All right,
by
guys,
this movie
you
in every
heard it
way,
here
shape,
first.
and form.
Aaron thinks Endgame is
Yeah.
shit. You can send all
Yep.
your hate mail to evacstation@gmail.com. Send it directly to Aaron Waseska. We got him. Like you can get
Yep.
him.
I'm gonna forward those
The male
emails.
Aaron.
I'm gonna forward those
The female
emails to
Aaron very
much enjoys
ryan.metters@gmail.com.
Damn it.
No.
Well, thanks everybody
Oh my
for joining in
gosh.
on this podcast. This is definitely our record for biggest one, but I think that for what the movie was, it kind of had to be. Before we officially close out, guys, one last call. Do you want to shout out to any of your social media links or anything you want to show us on the internet?
I just can't wait to have our timeline discussion. We're definitely going to have it. Time travel. Book it, whether it's with you guys or on Welcome to the Dog Pound. It's going to happen sometime soon. Cause
I'm down, man.
I
Invite
have
me
words.
if you need me to. I'm there.
I have words. We're diving deep. So this was fun, though. Thanks for having me.
I really enjoyed it. And again, cover reveal for Purple Door District 2 Wolf Pit is coming out tomorrow. Or
Oh,
May
yeah.
1st.
Yep, for those,
May
for those of
Day,
you who get
May
this
Day.
podcast, it'll be about a week ahead, but you know what she's talking about.
Yes.
Well, everyone, thank you for listening, and this has been a good time. Tune in next week when we start our Godzilla season. It'll be fun. And as always, thank you, and we'll see you after the credits.
Bye.
Bye.